football, by the hell.
Old Trafford, this is the theatre of dreams. Will you please welcome?
Hello and welcome back to the Busby Way Podcast, episode 5. Can't believe we've made this massive milestone. I'm United Macca, aka Macca. I'm joined with me, as always, with the Old Trafford Oracle. Almost said orifice then. That would have been a nightmare intro.
Worst things.
Yeah, definitely. But how are you doing, Brad? You well?
I am really well. So we went to the Lapland UK experience yesterday with the kids, and we came away with 3 points.
There you go. Fun for all the family. There we go. I've got a feeling we're going to be slightly more upbeat this week, especially after that Everton game last week is firmly in the rear mirror there. But yeah, yesterday...
Everton who?
Yeah, what? But yesterday, we played Palace, came away with the 3 points. Was it a bit of a breath of fresh air?
It was a breath of fresh air. What I really like about the game is that, Palace fans went early, that boom, 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 I want you in my room, and them all celebrating, and then you've got Dean Henderson cheering after 38 seconds.
Yeah, it was a bit over the top, wasn't it? Like literally rudimental balls right in front of me picked up. I watched it back in slow-mo. I was like, if he had just dropped that in the net, that would have been epic.
100% OTT for a full cap wanker.
Fair. But yeah, it was a good win yesterday. Good to be back on track onto winning ways. What do you think about that? Do you think it's we were due another win, obviously, after Everton? There was a lot of people doubting whether or not we were going to be sustaining this.
Let's have it right. We were rubbish in the first half. Yeah. Let's face it. The pressing wasn't there. We had our chance in the first couple of minutes, and Casemiro missed another chance, a few minutes later. And, then Palace got the goal. I thought for bar some really good last-ditch defending from Luke Shaw, we would have been 2-0 down at half-time, and that's a difficult place to come back from.
Well, it could have been a lot worse. They wasted quite a lot of chances early doors. We gifted them a few, but they wasted a lot. Mateta especially.
Yeah, you want to drop that one in. Mateta, he missed a couple of chances, but then he takes his penalty well twice.
Yeah.
But we were gifting them stuff. But in the second half, I just think it's probably one of our best halves of the season. The second half.
Yeah, it definitely was like genuinely a game of 2 hours. Like we guys, the cliche says, but I just felt like we were watching it. You're just like, right, we've been humbled last week. Are we back into this rut again? I still thought we were going to turn it around, but when it got to half time, I was like, yeah, this could be another embarrassment here.
Well, it was a Finalysis first for me. I didn't predict a Manchester United win. I predicted 2-2, and I was really happy to be wrong, which usually I'm unhappy to be wrong because we get beat or we draw a game, but the second half was so good. The first half, there were lots of things that needed to change. I thought the key was the aggression from the defence and the press, and I think, to be fair, that's Josh Zirkzee's best 45 minutes in a Manchester United shirt. I think he showed what he could do, not just with his finish, because it's a class finish, right? But his hold-up play was good, his pressing was good. But the key, which Amorim asked for, was, we all know he can take the ball in and lay it off. But then with a tired defence, you've got to run in behind, and it was a battle of the systems, wasn't it?
That was it. And I thought Amorim came out, didn't he, afterwards? He said, when it got to half time, he said to the lads, these are looking tired now. Like, we can exploit this a little bit. Do you think Amorim should get a bit more credit for that second half?
No, because we shouldn't have started the game in that way. I think Amorim needs to get credit for sticking with the team with what he did, and obviously his little speech. But I think he's pointed out something, and these are professional footballers. They should smell the danger as well. They should be able to react in a positive way.
Yeah, it felt like there was that clip, wasn't there, of Rashford against Luton when he was like trying to press and he was just walking around. It felt like a lot of players were doing that yesterday, the first half especially. I think one of the first chances that Mateta missed came from basically no one pressed at any point on the pitch.
I call it the methadone press.
Yeah,
I mean, it's dreadful, but we in the second half it ramped up. First half, we were just, when this formation requires everybody to be succinct, right? Everybody to know, because it starts from the striker. It starts from the striker, the press from the striker, and then if Mount can't go, and if Bruno can't go, and if Mbeumo can't go, then you're easy to play against, and the defence don't push up. And then we're spread out across the pitch, and Palace and Wharton can just pick the little passes, the little balls round the corner, which he was doing quite well in the first half. He didn't do much in the second half and was subbed.
But I think that was part of it, though. It was part of it. You're saying that everyone needs to do their job role effectively for the system to work. And I think that's part of the reason why Amram was like, I'm not changing it, because until everyone understands and can do this in their sleep with their eyes closed, then there's no point changing it. After that, we can start tweaking and changing a bit more.
It's the reason why Manchester United haven't been successful over the last few years, because the system requires, well, guess what? 11 players to play football.
Breaking news,
breaking news exclusive. You can't play with 10 men unless you're Chelsea.
Yeah, Chelsea do that pretty well, to be fair.
They do, to be fair.
But yeah, I thought it was everything picked up in the second half. There was just a bit of a wind in the sail. You said about Zirkzee, best 45. I mean, again, game of 2 hours, like 2 different games last week. The Everton one, Zirkzee was lost at sea, and then yesterday he kind of came to life in the second half, and he was link-up play was pretty decent, I thought.
Yeah, I was calling for him to be subbed at half time. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'd seen enough at half time to think, but that's football, right? Because we've got recency bias, right? And Josh Zirkzee recently hasn't shown what he did for periods last season. But that's because Manchester United haven't had the amount of games that they've got to sort of blood players in and get them used, get the minutes, get them fit. He's had some injuries. Realistically, this is his first couple of games back from his injury, isn't it?
Well, this is what we said last week. He's like, players need regular game time. He's not had it, and just lumping him in against Everton, hoping for the best, isn't great. He does need a run of games. Luckily, because of injuries, he's had them.
Yeah.
Do you think, obviously, if he's going to play a few more, we'll see a bit more from him, and he'll start gradually getting better and better? Or do you think he's going to kind of plateau and just kind of be a makeshift for a bit?
Well, we've invested a lot of money in him, right? And I think it's too early to call it with Zirkzee. I think there's a good player in there, and I want to see him get his minutes. But if you've got a gun to my head and you're saying who just start on Thursday, Cunha or Zirkzee, I'm saying Cunha every day of the week, right? You have to start him. Same with the private school Pirlo, Mason Mount. You've got to get him in. Got a stat for you. That was his first 90 minutes for Manchester United.
That's not true. His first 90?
His first completed 90 minutes for Manchester United.
Bloody hell, like, that is a good stat.
2.5 years. Thank you, Laurie Whitwell.
That is insane. I actually flabbergasted that's his first 90 into years.
Yeah, and he got his goal. He got his goal. He pressed from the front. I think we've seen it in bits from Mason Mount, and I just pray that he stays fit, because there's clearly a player in there. There's clearly a player in there. He's got great technique. You can always tell with players, other players like him, and managers pick him, right? So there has to be something there. And I just hope, for our sake, that we have a fit and firing £60 million player, which we, looks like a bad signing, but now it could turn around.
Yeah, I think that's it. For his workload, he's actually he pays himself well if he carries on finishing these 90 minutes.
Well,
but if he's not injured, he's actually a good player. He's a solid player, and you kind of forget that because he was injured for so long. But again, I'm still shocked by that stat.
It's mental, isn't it?
But yeah, I think that's one of the problems we've got, and I keep drumming this over, is like the lack of depth. And I think last week against Everton, obviously the less said about that, the better. But the front three reverted back to kind of what we had last year. But it seemed Mount and like you said, Zirkzee stepped up a bit.
Yeah,
and we need players like that to step up when we're missing players.
Well, not to go back over the Everton game too much, but what was missing in the Everton game was controlled attack rather than this lump it into the box that we were doing. And in the first half, when we attacked, that's what we were doing. We were lumping it to Zirkzee. We were crossing quite a lot from wide areas. In the second half, it was controlled build-up. It was bringing the players up the pitch, and I have to sort of take a moment to appreciate Diogo Dalot.
I was about to say there was a bit of a moment. He did have a good game. Yes.
He had a very good game. It was his best game in the season from a second half perspective. But even in the first half, he was intense. He was pressing. He he was trying, and that's all you want from him. He took the bait from the manager, because the manager called him and Dorgu out for not transferring the training into games, and yeah, positive signs, especially with AFCON coming up, and Mazza disappearing.
Well, he's staying because he's been booting cats. We've talked about this. But yeah, saying that with the front three yesterday, Mount coming in, Edward coming in, do you think we've seen the loss of Ahmad in number 10 this season, staying at right wing back? Do you think?
Well, I hope that we haven't, because I like him. I like him there, and I think I like Mbeumo as a false nine. If it was a choice between Cunha as a false nine or Mbeumo as a false nine, I actually go Mbeumo, and put Ahmad there, because Mbeumo's got the pace to go in behind, and Cunha's better when he comes deep and can run with the ball. So I genuinely think that there is space for him in an attacking number 10, but he's also our best right wing back.
Yeah, it's difficult. You need about 4 of him in the team, to be fair.
We do need about 4 of him in the team.
Yeah, I think the only person he can't replace is the keeper, and that's only because of his height.
Yeah.
But obviously second half it clicked into play yesterday. What do you reckon that was? Do you reckon that was just like a bit of a bollocking at half time? Do you think it was a bit of a tactical change? What was the main thing?
Well, I'm hoping it's pride. I'm hoping it's the fact that the boys wanted to drive for a win, and that's what you hope drives these players, because Everton wasn't good enough, even though Pickford pulls off a few worldies. It wasn't good enough in the first half against Palace, and there was an opportunity with them tiring, and they took it. There was an opportunity at Everton, and they didn't take it. So they've been presented with another opportunity this week. This week they've taken it. Now let's go put the boot on the throat of West Ham, who are looking like relegation fodder.
That's it. But it's funny because it's like like you've got to learn from your mistakes, and if we'd done that again, I think there would have been like warning signs, red flags again, just saying like we had this opportunity, we didn't take it. The same thing as last week, and then obviously the pressure piles on again. But I think one thing, obviously the first half yesterday, there was a lot of like dodgy mistakes that we made and stuff. And I think Yoro, he had a bit of a bad game against Everton, he had a bad game against Palace. He is a young player, so I don't want to pile on too much pressure on it. But do you think there's cause for concern? Do you think he's played too many games, or what do you reckon?
I don't think so. I think the only concern that I have is that I worry for the mental health of young players right now, because I think it's a different world to the, Rio Ferdinand is almost like a mentor and an advocate for Yoro. He helped get the transfer over the line, and I think he's calling a lot for calm with Yoro. He's being very, very positive. And I think that's what the ex-pros of Man United, who've got big platforms, really need to do. Not to be like a Carragher for Liverpool and just be like a mouthpiece for the club. I don't mind a little bit of criticism and a bit of fire in the belly there, but these ex-players of United over the last few years have really sort of added fuel to the fire a little bit and stoked it.
Well, look at Maguire. Look at that.
And to be fair, Keane apologised about Maguire, but he wasn't the only one who piled on Maguire.
No, that was the thing with Maguire. Everyone was like happy to shovel shit on him. Yeah. And then as soon as he started doing okay, and he was coming to a bit of form, like, we misjudged him and all this kind of stuff. And everyone's guilty of it. But yeah, I think you do have to be careful with these young players.
You do have to be very careful, because we've got, first of all, we paid a lot of money for him. Secondly, he is a class player. He's got it. And if you look at the game as a round, right? If Yoro doesn't do what he did, they have a simple chance to make it 2-0 or 1-0 at the time when he blocks it on the line, and he comes out to it. So there's moments in the game where he doesn't make the right decision, or the ball bounces off him. When you're in a bad bit of form, these things happen. I think it's up to the more senior players to get around him and support him. And what I really liked at the end of the game was Mason Mount went round him and was like patting him on the head and just talking to him. And we need a bit of that. Yeah. We need a little bit of togetherness. And the Butcher's back.
Yeah, that was great to see.
The Butcher's back.
The smile on his face was incredible.
And, I think he needs a Butcher with him. He needs a Butcher alongside him. But Butcher's got a lot of hard work to do to displace Luke Shaw.
I was just going to that. Obviously, I think them three, they've kind of, Luke Shaw has made that position his own this season. And yesterday, that block he did, that hostage, great challenge.
Phenomenal. 300 games for Manchester United over 12 years.
He's completed 90 minutes, though, hasn't he?
He's completed 90 minutes. He's played every game this season.
He's been
He's played every game this season, and it's been a long time since we've been able to say that, Luke Shaw. And I had a similar injury to Luke Shaw, and I have a lot of what's the word, sort of fondness because I've felt that pain.
Yeah.
So I know what he's gone through, and I'm not an elite football player.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. You just never got signed.
But in the same way, I always I can't be hypercritical of Luke, because I just think what he's gone through, and to be as resilient as he is to try and stay at United. Some might say he stayed too long. I don't. I think there's a player there, and I think we're seeing that this season when United need it. After Bilbao, he said a lot of things. He said he was hypercritical, and he said, are we good enough to be here? And he's come back. He's not missed a game. He's been Mr. Consistent. Yeah, he's made a couple of mistakes, but it's never been a lack of try and a lack of effort. In his recovery runs and speed, he should be in the mix for the World Cup squad, in my opinion.
100%. I think this season for us, he started off a bit slow. Obviously, it's documented and stuff. But I thought with Luke Shaw, that game against Chelsea, he just kind of took that game by the scruff of the neck, and he actually got involved in everything. He was at everything there, and I think since that game, he's clicked as one of our better defenders. But it comes back to what I was saying there, though, is with Yoro, obviously saying protect young players and stuff. I know Leach is back. I'm not advocating for him to start yet. But do you think there's a case to rest Yoro and just take him out the firing line a bit and play with Harry Maguire?
Well, Maguire's injured, isn't he? We don't know whether Maguire is going to make it for the West Ham game. We've also got the likes of Aiden Heaven. We've not seen much of him post Grimsby, and I worry about that because there's a player there as well. But I think there's enough players in and around the squad if we wanted to take him out the firing line. But it's down to the player, I think, there. If he wants to play through it and almost like wrestle his demons, like he did a bit of that last season. I remember he scored a goal against that equaliser against Lyon away, and in the run up to that, he'd been injured in and out, and then he sort of kicked on. So I hope he's the type of player who wants to play through it.
He seems to have a bit about him, to be fair. I think yesterday he did look a bit, I don't want to say dishevelled. That's probably not the right word.
Despondent.
Yeah, exactly. But I think he's got enough about him from what I've seen to kind of get up. I think with like Delit around him and like I said, Mount and Luke Shaw, I think he might get back on the horse again. Yeah. But you do kind of worry though, like whether
back on the rood.
Back on, that's it, yeah. But you do kind of worry about like whether or not these young players, whether we're playing them too much and stuff. So, but yeah, I think
we've got no choice, have we? Let's face it, our squad's thinner than anything. But
that's it. Again, like you're saying, we're very thin. We don't have these midweek games. When are we putting Martinez back in? Because he can't just walk into the starting lineup. I think when under Ten Hag, when he was injured, he came bagoing we had to put him back in as a necessity. I
think. Okay, so let's look at West Ham, right? Who's going to cause Manchester United problems from a West Ham perspective? Jared Bowen in Martinez's position. So do I play Luke Shaw 2 games in 6 days? I'd probably say yes, and then bring him off after 60, and then bring Martinez on. I think that's the type of. I don't think we go with him from the start. No, I think definitely Wolverhampton Wanderers 100%. Yeah, 100%. No goal. I'd love to see the goal of the month competition for Wolves in November.
Yeah, that's it. I'd love to see him back playing. I think it's but I think there's a lot to said like playing when he needs to be playing. And, like it's the right time to play. And at the moment, defence have been even take the Everton game out. We have been looked as a good unit. And I think do you reckon you've got worries that it disrupt like our back line?
I don't think so. I don't think we can risk being worried about it. He is, our best defender on paper.
Well, that's why pre-season they brought him along. He was never playing stuff. He was but he was around the team, and I think that was important. Yeah. I think it was a good call by Amrin as well.
I think so. I think whenever anyone's injured, I guess I feel really sorry for them being out of them. And there's loads of stories of players who've had long injuries or in and out who don't feel part of it, and then there's like the unspoken thing about depression and all that stuff. And we were talking before about, like that stuff, and it's not okay, is it? So you kind of, it's nice to hear that there's like a culture around the club that wants to include people, but then in the same breath there was a bomb squad in the summer.
Yeah, but that's why we've got that culture now, because we got rid of the bomb squad.
Yeah,
that was the whole point. It was they were rotting the dressing room from the inside out. So I think allegedly because we weren't there, but yeah,
was Tyrell Malacia though? And I've been a big supporter of Ruben Amorim, and I am a big supporter of Ruben Amorim. But I saw, like, obviously we brought Tyrell Malacia back into the mix now. He's a professional footballer. We had how many left-sided defenders on the bench against Crystal Palace? We had him, we had Malacia, we had Aidan Heaven, we had Dorgu. Malacia's not getting on that pitch. Did you see how despondent he looked on the bench when Zirkzee scored? Like, is anyone putting an arm around that lad? He's had years out of the game through big injuries. And I saw a clip of the tackle that was made on him. And just, it was Kyle Walker that sort of a nothing tackle, but shoved him over, and he's not balanced, and he's done his knee, and yeah, I just feel really sorry for him, because it's a big thing. This is his livelihood, and this was his dream, and what's going to happen.
That's it. And what I did like about him when we signed him, he had the right mentality. He seemed to be absolutely all about the cause and stuff. I remember it was at the Liverpool game, 3 games in. Him and Martinez they both started in the fence, and he was just absolutely with it, and he was jumping into the crowd with the fans. It meant something to him, and you want that. And I think there is a testament to Malacia. Like I said, I don't think he's going to play. I think it's more getting back in the shop window a little bit. But I think the thing is he's gone away, he's trained in isolation, he's trained with the under-23s or whatever, but he's showed enough now that Amorim said, but basically, like, you've earned your shot to be back around the team.
He went and trained at a non-league stadium over the summer. He was at Andy Mitten's side to get fit. But he's kind of, I don't like what the message that it sends when you pick 4 left-sided defenders on the bench. I think I might be being critical about Amorim here, but surely there's a youth striker knocking about. Surely there's somebody. Yeah, like, why are if there's players knocking around, surely they've got to be in there other than 4 left-sided defenders. What is that all about?
Do you reckon that's a message to Jim to say, get your checkbook out?
Well, it has to be, right? But, these aren't, we're not dealing with, bits of paper. These are human beings, so there's got to be something in that. You got to look after the lads. And, I wouldn't put Malacia back in for the sake of keeping and making a couple of million. I would, why don't they just release him and let him go and play, rather than, that, surely that's better.
Yeah.
And, or let him go on send him to Sheffield Wednesday or something, pay his wages like they've done Harry Amas,
Yeah. Yeah. What do you reckon about Aidan Heaven then? Do you recken he's getting back in at any point, or getting some game time?
I'm hopeful, because he
got a few run-outs at the start of the season, didn't he?
He did, and then came Grimsby. And then it was like the it was kind of like the game against Notts County a few years. Yeah, not Notts County, MK Dons a few years ago, where we didn't really see any players survive that game from Van Gaal. But Aidan Heaven he's a Wilcox signing. He's somebody who has been seen and looked after and really recruited. And last season he looked like a really good player. But I think, he's probably the player that is whose development is most being affected by the lack of European football. Because if Manchester United have European football and are in another cup, Aidan Heaven's played a lot more games.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of United squad, as we were saying then, at the weekend we played against Palace. A young centre mid, Englishman, Wharton. We seem to have the same conversation about a different Englishman at centre mid every weekend. What did you think of Wharton? I thought he had a belting game.
He had
first half.
First half, he had a belting game. He he's a classy player, Blackburn lad. He's one of them players who makes it look easy, right? And I think he's got what it takes to play at a club like Manchester United, I think. Whether he's the player that Manchester United need, I'm not so sure. Because I think we need somebody to be a bit more of a destroyer in there. I think I've said that one before.
Yeah, so
I think I've said that one before, but I want Wharton? Yes. Manchester United should sign Adam Wharton right now. Come on, Wilcox, get it over the line.
So January we'll have him then, yeah?
Yeah.
We'll have him, Henderson and Belieber.
Romano, where's the update? Where's the here we go? Where's the here we go?
Yeah, I thought he had a belty game. I think maybe out of the three that we talked about, Belieber, Elliot Anderson and him, Anderson's probably like the standout that we naturally need. But yeah, Wharton, I think he's a great player.
So who would you rather have round for dinner? Richarlison
No.
or Dean Henderson?
Mate. Does Richarlison speak English, yeah?
I
It's
think so.
Yeah, so I'd have to be able to tell what he said. Right, okay. Yeah, I think I'd go Dean Henderson, at least just to get a bit of inside gossip about what happened yesterday, because apparently, allegedly, it was him who was like leaking a lot of stories when he got dropped. So I think he'd tell you a few things that might have happened.
But yeah, things that might have happened, you lost the battle to an aging De Gea.
Yeah, that was it. But COVID did him over, didn't it? He was given the number 1 jersey, wasn't he? Apparently, and then he got COVID, and they put De Gea in, and he was like, "Why are you going to dislodge him?" Because he started finding form.
I think when he looked like he was 5'5" on the line against Mo Salah, dislodged him.
Yeah,
I think that's what really did for him. That time where he just stayed on his line and just got really small. But I was gutted when we got rid of him, because there's a goalkeeper in there, but his behaviour since then, he's like a bit like a Jordan Pickford, a wind-up merchant, and you can't really hate on that, can you? But
apparently, he's from people who've worked with him said that he's got a bit of arrogance to him, and he thinks he should be number 1 for England, should be doing that and stuff, which to a degree as a professional footballer you should have. But I think from what I hear, he's a bit of an unlikable character.
Yeah, he played in a really good United sort of academy team though. So, and there's a few lads that have gone on from that team to do really good things. There's a few lads that have gone on to do not so nice things away from football. But yeah, we're looking at Dean Henderson. He'll probably go to the World Cup, won't he?
Yeah, he's got to be in the fridge. Definitely.
Yeah, he's got to be in the fridge.
But I just don't see how you dislodge Pickford.
No, you
he
can't.
Does no wrong for England.
He doesn't do any wrong. He had a bad game against Newcastle though.
Yeah, where was that last week?
I know. Look, I watched the most frustrating thing about that Newcastle United game was there was a bit where Newcastle were attacking with Voltemade, who was jogging, and the defence was ambling back. I was like, where was this the other night?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Needed to give the defenders a
Well,
slap.
they've had their cup final, haven't they?
Yeah, that's it. It's always cool finding these laws. Speaking of that, this week on Thursday, Thursday night game against West Ham. Thoughts on that?
Oh, well, we've got the Bissaka versus Diego Dallo, haven't we? So the battle of it, because
a stoppable force meets a movable object.
Yeah, and Dallo will probably play on the left,
Yeah.
because that's where he played on the weekend, because Ahmad will be on the right. So, yeah, I was gutted when Wan-Bissaka left.
I was going to say, I loved Wan-Bissaka. I know he wasn't the best, but I just loved his last year's challenges. They were felt, and having Doku in his pocket in the FA Cup final was incredible.
Yeah, and when we played Newcastle as well, and the game against Brighton in the semi-final, where he sort of stopped Matoma in his tracks, which was nice.
He seemed to just always go, right, I'll wait for you to get 5 yards ahead of me, then I'll tackle you.
Okay, so what do you think of the Paqueta situation? What do you think about that?
Of him clapping the ref and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit petulant. I thought for me, it's difficult because he came out, didn't he, afterwards, and then I've had a rough 2 years, so like I should be allowed to come out and clap and stuff, which obviously
there's people with like worse problems than that, don't they?
Yeah, I just felt it was petulance, wasn't it? And I don't know if he was just trying to get Christmas off or whatever, but it just felt like
he's got this week off.
He's come back from a ban, hadn't he? He just come back and then he done that, and you just feel like you've let your team down there. Yeah. You can't be doing that. West Ham obviously they found a little bit of form, but they need goals and they need to get up the league. And he's probably one of their biggest outlets. And he's just kind of gone, well, sorry, boys, I've decided to have an argument with a ref.
It was 1-0 at the time, and Liverpool were there for the
They were
taking as
rocking.
well. They were rocking, which is great to see, right?
Yeah.
But they just didn't have the. It was a bit like us against Everton. They didn't have the firepower to get the goal, and but it is just a daft one. So I don't with West Ham. I'm not going to go big with the prediction. My heart says like 4-0, 4-1, whatever. It could be the game where we just get a load of goals because their defense is slow, right? Todibo, who it looks like we dodged a bullet with Todibo.
Yeah, very much so.
Because Jim wanted him. He was he would have been one of the benefits of having the multi-club.
It was him or Yoro, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bloody hell, yeah.
Him or Yoro, and Todibo just looks not great, to be honest. And they look a slow team.
It's a shame we've not got our actual, what you consider our proper front three for that game. I'd love to see them against West Ham.
So Cunha's back.
Yeah.
So Cunha over who comes out the team?
So I think you go what we did against Liverpool, put Mount up top.
Yeah.
And then I think that's what you do against him, because at least he's working, he's pressing, doing that. And Zirkzee comes out, unfortunately, I think, for me. But I feel like it's a bit disservice to Zirkzee because he's just had a good game, and there's knocking him off his pedestal there straight after. He scores a wonder goal, gets us back in the game. Cheers, mate, back on the bench. It seems a bit rough, but yeah.
If ever there was a game to try the Maino-Bruno pivot,
okay,
I think it's this game. With the lack of legs that they've got in midfield, I think this is the game to give Kobbie Mainoo a start with Bruno Fernandes in that centre midfield and give Uncle Cass a little break.
Well, he had 90 minutes, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he's not doing two of them in a week.
No.
Unless he's wearing a Brazil top.
No. We'll see Ugarte come.
Yeah.
Ugarte.
Yeah.
But Ugarte.
Start.
Mainoo will be brought on in the last 3 minutes. Yeah. We're chasing the game.
Sounds about right, but I'd love to see him against West Ham. I think it would be, like you said, good game for him. I think he'd open up a lot of chances for us.
Yeah, and I think, they've got that youth at left wing back. He looks he looks one of their better players. So I think he bombs on a lot. But if you've got Ahmad Ahmad didn't do a lot in attacking this week, but his presence kind of kept Munoz, who is a really big outlet for them, overlapping. He kind of kept him at bay, kept him quiet, which was nice. So I'm hoping that Ahmad can do the same against Diouf.
You reckon? Yeah, it could be a good game for Ahmad, to be fair. But yeah, I'm quietly confident about it. I think it's a 3-0 for me.
A 3-0?
I'm going early and saying it confident.
Going early and saying.
I should probably shouldn't say this on camera.
Champagne and Chinese on Thursday.
That's the one, mate. Yeah, that's it. Get Dong Fang Zhu shirt on. But yeah, I think it's good. I think for us, we need these wins because it's been documented the next 10 games, right? From Everton one were our easy run.
Yeah.
And we've lost 1-1. I think we definitely need to pick this up. I think there's teams around us looking at your Villas and stuff like that, who we're not too far behind, and we need to keep that pressure on that top four, because I think you lose one game, draw one, and we just drop down the table. Other teams take advantage. So I think this is a big game for us.
It is a big game for us. I think I always say every game's a big game.
I was about to say, is there any game that isn't?
Every game's a big game when you've only got like 38 games in a season.
Yeah.
Only because of no other competitions, one game a week. But I think it's a momentum building with the games that we've got after this. So if we're beating West Ham and then we've got Wolves, there's a golden chance that guy loses, which I just want it done because I'm sick of seeing it now, to be fair.
But I think as well is, I think we need to get as many points on the board ahead of AFCON anyway, because I think that's going to hit us quite hard. So we need to be winning these games. But talking about the league, obviously a couple of weeks ago when we were on this winning streak of 3 or what have you, we were saying, yeah, Champions League is doable, top 4 is doable. Given how like Chelsea are now the second coming of prime Barcelona, and we're only 3 points behind them, do you think there's opportunity for us to still get in that top 4, or do you think that's
I
I
don't see any reason not to think Manchester United can get top 4 this season. we're not a million miles away. We are performing like on average better than the teams in and around us. You look at Sunderland, they're overperforming. You look at Brighton, they look like it's kind of Marmite. You look at Bournemouth, bit like some games is really good, some games it's good, and sometimes it's shit. But there's a lot of teams a bit like that. Whereas we're consistently doing the same things. It's just like one thing missing sometimes.
This is what I wasn't that worried about the Everton game for, because you look at teams like Brighton, you look at teams like Villa, and like they'll probably drop points against a team like Everton. They're not just going to go and win it runs, and they're who we're thereabouts with in the league. So it's like, just because we've lost to Everton doesn't mean every other team's going to start winning every game.
I do worry about that Dracula-looking guy though, like Emre. He haunted my life when he was Villarreal manager and Seville manager and everything else. So I can't. He's a great. He is a really good manager, right? And the test of the acid test is, if a rival fan doesn't like you, then you've done a good job, right? I think he does a good job with his teams. They're very difficult to beat. They don't play the most attractive football, and you hate playing them. So a bit like Arteta.
Yeah. Do you think he'd end up getting a bigger move from Villa? I'm surprised. Like, obviously, he hasn't been like considered for bigger roles anyway.
Well, so look at his CV, right? So he's at Arsenal, top 16.
Yeah.
Not won a major trophy in a few years. You've got PSG. He was at PSG when so he's done Villarreal, he's done Valencia, and I'm sure he's been in other places, and he's rocked up at Aston Villa. I think with Unai Emery, he could manage insert any of the top three in the top leagues.
He's got a good trophy haul.
He's got a good trophy haul. He knows how to win. He knows how to get over the line.
Oh, so if Amarin goes, he's
no chance. No chance.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, I think that's it. I think, like you said, coming up games.
Well, no, you've stumbled on a good question there. Okay, James, if Amarin goes, who replaces him?
You, because you just inspire me so much. Like, I think I was asked this earlier in the season. It's like, who would you get in? And I think the only standout candidate for me is Glasner. And I just think only because he plays a similar system, he's done all right. But I wouldn't take him over Amarin. That's the thing. I don't. At the moment, I'm liking what they're doing, liking the journey we go for. I wouldn't see any reason why we would want to get rid of him.
Well, it's not a case of, right, you want him rid of him. But, okay, so tomorrow, Amarin takes the top job at Portugal, right?
I thought you were going to say Portsmouth there.
No, so he was the chairman of Portsmouth, the dodgy guy that just brought in all the millions for him to spend, and then they went bust. Can't remember, some Russian guy, wasn't he? But yeah, who do you get? So you got Glasner. For me, I like Glasner, but the romantic in me says Ancelotti for a couple of seasons.
I'd love Ancelotti United because he took the Everton job, so why wouldn't he take us? Like, to be fair.
Well,
but yeah, I think if Ancelotti's on the table, you take him on every day of the week. But
okay, I've got a final question for you. We're getting some guests on. Who, like, 5 guests you want to have on this podcast? Go.
On this one, obviously Roy Keane's pinnacle there.
Roy Keane's pinnacle,
yeah.
Right? Okay.
Kalina,
you want to have Kalina?
Yeah, I mean, it's just an interesting one.
Does he speak English?
Yeah. Speaks about 8 different languages.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I was struck.
He'd be a belter. Because they're just a prime Champions League round.
We'd struggle with our producer with a Blackburn translator, wouldn't we?
Most people do, even if you're English. But yeah, he'd be a belting one.
He'd be a belting one.
Yeah, obviously Dong Fangzhou goes without saying.
Dong Fangzhou.
I think Dennis Irwin would be interesting.
Dennis Irwin. I would love to grill Gary Neville for 45 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would.
You put it on him, would you? Yeah.
Not put it on Gary Neville, but like, I think he does this. I think I really love the overlap. Right?
Yeah.
It's a great podcast. The dynamic between everybody is great, but I think he gets away with a lot of bad takes on Manchester United on Sky. He gets away with a lot of bad takes, and then he hides it with saying that we're going to get in the top 4. Like, so he's kind of like the antithesis of this new age fan that I really don't like.
He was absolutely brutal against the Everton game, wasn't he, about the back line? And that's all I've been hearing all week. Going, yeah, but what about Luke Shaw? He should have been up top and all that, bombing forward. It was awful.
But yeah, Dong Fang Zhou, if anybody knows Dong Fang Zhou, tag him in the comments. I can't find him. We're looking for him.
We've got private investigators out there. Yeah,
we've got a big announcement about Dong Fang Zhou coming. Thanks to a friend of the podcast.
Yeah, brilliant. Can't wait to announce that. But I think that's just enough a tease to end it here tonight. So thanks again, as always, for tuning in, listening. Feel free to subscribe, like us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all that kind of good stuff. And we'll catch you for the next one.
Football, by the hell. This is the Virtual Dream. Will you please welcome